Good morning, guys. Welcome back to this beautiful Wednesday. We're here on Joe Page, Focus, Drive, Impact. I still say this every Wednesday. I'm going to add a sticker of my beautiful face on there, but it's not here today because I'm lazy. But we're back again following a great 4th of July weekend. We're going to get into that. We're going to get into a little bit of FHA protection plans and some little cheeseman that happened over the weekend where I did not or did possibly cuss Joe out. We don't know. We'll find out.
She did.
I'm in a way better mood today.
Yeah.
So first and foremost, after 4th of July weekend, we talked last week a little bit about Joe's brisket where he had to pay somebody to teach him how to smoke meat. Tell us about that, Joe.
It paid off.
It did.
It paid off tremendously. This has got to be the best brisket I've ever smoked in my life. Of course, it was prime, so I was determined not to ruin it. But it had to be the best brisket I've ever made in my life. It had to be, without a doubt.
Normally, I usually like to clown on you. And I never give you props. Yeah. But I personally can attest that it was really fucking good. Like, it was absolutely delicious. And even Kevin said it. You even convinced my husband that he needs to get in the meat smoking game. Which is crazy.
I think Kevin and I are going to start competing. We're going to have to go to competitions.
Oh,
These
yeah.
local ones. I think I'm telling you, that brisket has got to be in the top 10 in briskets in Southern Nevada. It's got to be.
Well, Tony Babb says it was delicious. But honestly, even when you were holding it, you were so funny to me. You were holding it on the knife. Look at the meat. It's perfectly rendered.
Because it has to have that nice bend to it without the break. And it can't fall apart, but it has to give that nice bend.
Okay.
You know, it's that.
That's what happened when you go to school. You have the science behind the meat. Tell us about meat, Joe.
I'm going to tell you what. I would tell you what, if it wasn't for that $200 class, that brisket wouldn't have come out.
It was fire though, and your beans are really good, honestly.
Yeah, the beans have always been amazing.
Yeah.
It's always been a big hit. Nobody understands that powdered mustard just changes the whole game when it comes to beans. Yeah.
No, I 100% agree because most people use like the French's mustard in it, but no.
You got to use powdered mustard.
You got to use powdered mustard. Yeah. I 100% agree. And your wife's cake. Let me tell you, I posted it on my story. You know how many people commented, where the hell did you get that cake? First of all, I was like, you didn't even taste the icing. I made myself sick eating that cake. It was so absolutely good.
Actually, you made yourself eat. I saw you eat more that day than I've ever seen you eat the whole time I've known you.
So you know what? What is it? Cheers to the cook. You and your wife threw down.
Chef extraordinaire.
Okay. Yeah. Chef, I'll give it to you right now. Chef extraordinaire.
That's what
and we talked a lot of smack about HOA rules and guidelines. His wife made, which we got to get you some footage of the fireworks display.
Of this one. Oh.
She built off of the front porch fence, like the wall, a whole entire like setup, like out of 2x4s. And she goes, "Are you ready to see some shit?" I was like, yes, we're ready.
So when we get into the point where we're not editing stuff and
the
we can be...
police came.
Oh, my God.
The HOA police came with sirens. Me and Kevin were leaving because we had to go home. But as soon as we drove around, I texted Joe, they're coming. And I'm not... I promise you, I laughed so hard because as soon as we hit the corner, here comes in a whole car with sirens, the HOA Policia rolled down the street. I was like, watch out, Joe. They're coming for you.
It was a very eventful night. Let me tell you.
It was eventful.
Not only did that happen, and of course, Kat in all her glory tells them what she tells them in her own words. We put out a fire 4 blocks down the street. Mm-hmm. So our neighbor kid comes, "Hey, Joe, hey, there's a fire downstairs." Like, okay, well, I'm not the fire department. Why are you telling me about a fire? And of course, the kids and Kat were like, "Oh, I want to go see pain, death, and hurt. I want to go see all this stuff." I'm like, "Oh, God." So we pack up in the truck. We go over there, and sure as shit, there's these guys in this little 6-foot A-frame ladder with a water hose is barely touching a 60-foot palm tree.
Oh, my goodness.
I said, "Oh, Lord." I said, I think we could beat this. So we go back home. We get our 12-foot A-frame ladder, get over there. I take the nozzle that I just bought with a 100-foot hose because I knew we were going to be blowing stuff up. I took it over there. We ended up putting out the fire. And it was funny. It was like a full circle. Like, okay, HOA said no fireworks out here, but not on the street. So some people said, "Hey, screw the HOA. We're going to do it on the street anyways." And they light their house
Oh, my gosh. And, I want to say a little PSA. If you're going to light fireworks, be safe. One of the big things we did before we left the house is me and Kevin watered down. We have like 5 trees, like really big ones. We watered down everything. We cleaned the whole entire roof, all the debris off the roof, and we sprayed down the roof with water because sometimes if you have debris up there, it could catch fire. And then Joe, also 100%, he wetted down the driveway, the street, the platform, everything, because we like to have fun and we're rowdy, but there's a line between being rowdy and being safe. And we always try to do that, especially because that was our career field. We made things go boom.
Yeah.
So we know what it's like when shit really hits the fan. You don't want to set your house on fire or set neighbors' houses on fire because it is dry here.
That's a fact.
It's a dry 100 and cool 10 degrees this summer. So,
oh my ass.
But rolling in from that was like a fantastic weekend. And then after going that, I went to church, and then we went over the guidelines for the school donation thing. So we're going to do that later this week. You guys are going to get to see footage of us building a whole bunch of backpacks. It's going to be fun. And then you're going to get to see how expensive real school supplies cost here in Las Vegas.
And why teacher salaries are not commensurate with the cost that they put into it. So
100%. Like, I really didn't appreciate how much teachers give until I started buying school supplies. That's a fact. I did, because even a backpack's like $50, which still blew my mind. Absolutely.
It was frustrating to me when last school year, my son's teacher would go out on Blooms, because that was the little thing for the independent schools, and said, hey, we need, the class needs this. And I'm like, man, this is stuff the school should be providing. Why isn't CCSD providing these things, right? And then you look at every time they have board meetings, and all they're doing is cutting, and all these trustees and all these board commissioners are getting so much money but the teachers aren't getting paid anything, right?
Yeah.
So I think this is just a small tidbit of what we can give back to help some of these schools and these teachers
100%.
out. Hopefully, if all things go right, it ends up being a movement that everybody does, and every year we don't have to keep revisiting how are we going to help teachers out with supplies for our kids, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's for our kids. It's not for the teachers. It's not for the schools. For our kids, right?
Yeah.
And the cost gets exorbitant for parents too. You got a lot of families that are single family homes, single parent homes, and even the ones that aren't. You've got a good family, but both parents are working. And just a lot of times you can't get to the store to buy the stuff that you need, right?
Yeah, and it gets sold out fast. Like Walmart does like the back to school, Target does back to school, a lot of places, but it's not just us out here doing it. I think when it comes to serving the community, I think Vegas has a really, really, really good city. We rally around each other. Like Metro came together, I think, last week, and they did a big back to school drive as well. Most of the community churches in their outreach programs, they do back to school drives. Not only that, there's also food drives.
Yes.
And so then the firefighters, I believe, came together. I saw that on Facebook. So everybody knows that this is an issue. We don't know what we're going to do yet to fix it, but because the community recognizes that, everybody's involved. And I love that, because at the end of the day, education's important. The next generation's education is what's going to sustain our city. They're going to be the next ones. They're going to be the new homeowners, right? They're going to be the new working class. They're going to be the new voters. And so I think it's important that we come together to support them and educate them so our city can continue to grow and thrive.
Yeah.
That's a super big one. People are like, oh, you're always worried about this and that. Yeah.
I mean, if you're not worried about it, no one else will.
That's
a
fact.
We have that old adage, the sins of our fathers.
Yep.
And so the problems that we're dealing with now are from the results we have now from the problems that didn't get remedied prior to us being in this age now, right?
Yeah.
So we can continue that trend, or we can fight it and stop it now, so that we already know there's the times change, and our kids are dealing with much different things that are way different than what we dealt with, right? I don't know if your puppies count as kids, but my kids,
they do. I'm going to look directly into the camera and say they are my babies.
I know they're just as expensive as my babies
they are.
But I think that this is the best way that we can go right now, without hand by hand taking every child and trying to do something that's just not humanly possible. But this can be something we start on a small scale and turn into a big scale, right?
I think so.
Scale, so.
And then there's a couple other places too. There's some youth homeless shelters that I was donating to before, which if I can, I'll put a list up so you guys can look into it if you want to donate clothes or things like that. I even donated books on how to build a resume to get jobs, but it's for homeless youth between, I think, 12 and 18. And I didn't recognize that was even a problem until recently. I was like, wow, there's like whole shelters for just these kids. And I think it's just a bigger problem that we don't really touch on in the city, and these kids still have to go to school. So that was even more of a reason why I wanted to, donate school supplies, school clothes, things like that, so they can get, start from somewhere. But I think it really comes from people want to come here, and times have changed. That's a really, really, really big one. I want to touch on that. Back in the day, you could take $20, get on a bus. I'm gonna play the opening of what is it, Rock of Ages.
Mm-hmm.
Go from Oklahoma, get $20, pack a suitcase, get on the bus, go to LA, and then live, right? You could just live. That was a big thing between the 80s, the early 2000s. You didn't have to have employment where you were going. You could just stay in a hotel, you could rent. As long as you could make the rent and show it, they didn't really care. But now when you move to Las Vegas, like I believe this is more than just a Vegas problem. You can't just relocate. That's the problem. So people come here from other cities. They pack up everything. They sell everything, whatever their situation is. And they just think they can come here and they don't have a job yet. But then here's the thing. Now they're stuck because you're living in a budget inn or you're living like Airbnbs, right? Wasting extra money because you can't rent because you don't have a job yet. Yeah. But then the job market, depending on what your career is kind of hard to get into. It is. I waited 3 months to apply at a Starbucks. Like, that's a fact after I got out of the military.
Yeah, and I would have went right to In-N-Out. I'm just saying.
Okay. I will say yes, but the problem is I'm fat and I'll just eat hamburgers all day. I'm like, just pay me in hamburgers, please.
I didn't say it wouldn't be good for your health. I just said that's where I would have went. They pay very well.
100%. They do pay good. I think they pay like $19 an hour. But people do come here, right? And then they find themselves in these unique middle situations of transition. And what do? So now you have families or young adults, and then it adds, I believe, to like pre-homelessness. That's what I kind of call it, because living in a budget inn, paying weekly is expensive, but that's a step right before you're on the street. And then when those fill up, which if you look at certain areas, the occupancy is really high in like a lot of those places.
Well, you look at it this way also. When you look at geographically, they're not in the most advantageous places for you, right? Mm-hmm. So you end up in one of those places. You could see how it would be a problem getting out and how that stigma kind of sits with you, right? One of the things I realized and I found out was during the summertime, I didn't realize how a lot of our food banks and our homeless shelters were filled with children that were, because, and you don't think about it sometimes because, you know, during the school year, they're going to school, they're eating lunches, right? Especially for Division I schools, or not Division I schools, schools that get reduced lunches, right?
Yeah.
For the kids have lunches and then they go home and hopefully they're eating dinner there and breakfast there in the mornings, right? During the summertime, they don't have that. Like, I know there's some schools that still do, the reduced lunches or still provide lunch in the summer. But I noticed that when it comes to either homeless veterans being number one, number two is a close second to child homelessness, right, during the summer. And it's extremely disheartening.
It is.
And I don't hear enough on social media or even in the news about it at all. Nobody talks about it. And it's like, wow, we're talking about stuff that to me is important, but not as important as child homelessness and child hunger and veterans homelessness and homelessness in general. There's some things we just cannot fight all at once, encompassing. But there's certain ones that I do believe you have to give a little bit more effort to, because in my eyes and the way I feel about it, some of these people have given a lot, and they're receiving nothing, whether it be mental issues, medical issues, just personal issues. But as far as the kids are concerned, I don't think there's anything they've done that warrants that. Those are decisions that were made prior to them that we've got to get a grip on. We've got to figure out a way 100%. To make that better.
And I think, people are people at the end of the day. And so like, that this is where we have to understand and educate folks. And that's where I spend a lot of time educating people that are relocating here. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter, if you're a family, if you're single, if you're married, or you're a couple. At the end of the day, my first question is, do you have employment lined up? They're like, what do you mean? I say, the reality of you being able to rent here, like an apartment anywhere really, or even a house if with the property manager, is they're going to want you to have employment here in the city. Now, if you're a hybrid employed, that's different because you can work anywhere. Yeah, it's kind of similar to buying a house. If you come here and you apply for a loan, you're going to be like, oh, do you have employment in the city within the vicinity of where you're going to be living? Because if you were living in California and you work there, you're not going to commute 4 to 6 hours every day to go to work.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense. So they're going to deny you. And so these are specific things along with like employment history that really put like a like a step down for people, or that's the area where people can't pivot because they don't realize that. And so like one guy called me, he wants to move here from another place. I said, no problem. I have like a whole questionnaire designed for people relocating. Where do you want to live and why? What are parts of the city that you would like to see? Like, what is your reasoning for moving here? Do you have a specific medical thing that you need? Is there, do you go to the doctor? Like I ask a very in-depth questions. Me and whoever it is, we get to know each other on a very intimate level because the city has two things. It's gigantic. It provides so many opportunities. But if you're looking for specific things that only Henderson provides, why are you going to live in Centennial Hills?
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And then the second thing is cost of living. If your cost of living, great. You make $9,000 to $10,000 a month. You know, you can kind of live wherever you want. But if you're only bringing home $4,000 to the table, which is fine too, then we have to change what area code or tax area that you're living in to facilitate that so you're not house poor. I think that's the second thing that happens with people. And I think you can agree to this too, because you've met a lot of military people moving here, leaving here, right? Is when you come here, if you only have a certain amount of money and then you live in one area, you're like, yeah, I want to live in Summerlin. I want to live in Spring Valley. Great. But then all your money goes to rent and then rent goes up and now you're under, right? Yeah. That's hard.
I don't think people realize.
Yeah, that's a big one.
They don't realize it because they've never experienced it, right?
Yeah.
And
I've experienced it.
Yeah, and so have I.
Ramen noodle everyday diet.
Don't sleep on ramen noodles.
I don't. I'm telling you, I'm looking in the camera that there was a time in my life I had ramen noodles and grilled cheese every day for almost a whole year because I was house poor.
Dude, I was eating ramen with hot dogs in it, eggs, and
thought,
Tabasco with saltine crackers. but man, those were the days. Anyways,
we look back on that fondly.
People don't understand that it's almost more and more often than not, it's more advantageous to purchase your home than it is to rent, right? I know there's certain things that happen in a person's life, because it happened to me, where you don't have the opportunity to purchase, right? But if financially you can rent, really realistically financially you can purchase a home. You've got to be realistic in what you're looking at. That's the thing, right? So people come and they're like, hey, I want this $900,000 home, but you have a $400,000 home budget, right? And when I say budget, I mean as in $400,000 to be comfortable, to where you're not overextending yourselves, right? And you're not bleeding out the opposite end because you want to live in this lap of luxury, but you can afford this menial, the more minimal portion of it, right? And so I think that's where we have to be more realistic with them. And I can ask a borrower all the time, hey, tell me what your ideal mortgage payment is. If I said that, you know what they're going to tell me? $500 a month.
Yeah.
What are you looking for? What are you looking for? I'm looking for a 10,000 square foot home, 10 bedrooms. And so that's what they want. Okay, so 100%. Now let's bring it back down to earth now. Let's talk about what you can afford, because I'm here to tell you what I know on paper you can afford. What you do outside of what I see here, I can't depict, right?
Yes.
But I can tell you what I know that you can do based on what I see right here. At that point, it's up to you. Now, don't get me wrong. It's your money. Spend it the way you want to. I want you to spend your money, but you have to spend it basically on how it's going to make you and your family happy, right?
Yeah.
So it's our jobs to bring them back down to earth. And I'm noticing a lot of people that I talk to, that is a painful conversation for them. Because we all say, hey, I want, and we all work, but we don't realize that we got to put our money where it's best suited to be put, right? And if we're trying to buy a home right now, your first home is not going to be your dream home. Unless you were born with a silver spoon up your butt, you're not going to get a dream home, your first home. Unless it just falls out of the sky into your lap, your first home should be something that you build the experience in home ownership. You learn about how the profitability of it and the negative portions of it. And then you add to it. You build equity in that home. Use that home as a stepping stone to your next home. And then your next home. I
agree. I say the same thing when I talk with people, and a lot of people relocating, I actually encourage them to rent first. Because the city, like I said, is so big, you don't know where you want to live, right? And so that's a part of it. Drive around. Like, what do you like to do? And then rent first, because once you buy a home, you're committed. You can't turn around and sell within 6 months of a year. I mean, you could, but you take a big L, right? We don't want that. So I say rent. and then drive around and figure out exactly where you would actually like, where do you see yourself? And especially coming from another place, you got to get to know the city and how we act, because we're a little different around here.
A lot different.
That we're a lot different. People come here and they're some places you get great hospitality, some places you do not. And then every little area in Vegas, between North all the way down to Henderson and Bowl City, everyone has like a different kind of subset of cultures, like different mannerisms or different ways we like to do things around. If you're going down Spring Valley, you like to golf, it's a little bit more bougier, you know, it just depends. And then HOAs are a really big one. Are you willing to live in an HOA? What does that look like for you? If you want to live in the Taj Mahal, well, you know that's going to have a Taj Mahal HOA.
Real soon, it's going to be all HOAs.
It is 100%.
I'm noticing even some of the smaller areas are going HOAs. I don't necessarily understand why, because some of the HOAs I've seen don't do much but collect money. I mean, it doesn't. I'm pretty sure it's not used to beautify the properties. I'm pretty sure it's not used to secure the properties or anything like that. So it leads me. we're gonna have to go down that rabbit hole, try to figure out.
I think we should, because I was reading a lot about HOAs. Like I'm Switzerland when it comes to HOAs. I've seen some great HOAs where when I read because you know when you sell, you have to do the demand package, right? And then you read what they cover, why they cover it. You have to view the assessments, which I think is very, very important, because most people don't review the quarterly or fiscal assessments to see where they're spending the money. But the ones that like build the parks, maintain the grass and the trees.
Yeah, big difference.
Yeah, big difference. Like, yeah, we want that, because I'm not paying for the grass at my own house. You know what I'm saying? I want grass. But then the ones that pay for, maintenance for the gates and security. But the ones where you're paying like $15 a month, $20 a month, and there's absolutely nothing because the city maintains the mailboxes.
That's a fact.
Like, so what exactly are you doing? Why do we still have this? But I do think it does have a positive, because you don't want a bunch of junk cars and things. I went in one neighborhood. One guy had 15 trash cans like lined up in his front yard. For what purpose? I have no idea. It looked like beautiful house. It was. It was like a beautiful house, and then wow, and then a beautiful house, and then come back, wow. And that's the most kindest thing I could say about this house, because I should have took a picture. It was a hot mess. Windows busted. I was like, what's going on? The garage door was taped up. I don't know what happened over there.
Well, speaking of HOAs, I'm going to I've tried to go to them before, but we're actually going to go to our first HOA.
Oh, you're going to run?
Oh, no.
I know Kat wants you to run.
Oh, no. I'm not built for that. They're not ready for me.
Vote Joe, HOA president.
They're not ready for me. But Beezer apparently is trying to get the area outside of our community, off of Osa Blanca.
Oh, yeah.
Rezoned for residential. They want to build homes
close
there.
To the highway?
And so the only reason why I'm going to go, well, not the I should really go, because our voices should be heard, right? And I can't preach that if I'm not going to do it. But the issue is that the walls are so low in our community in that side that if you build 2-story homes, there's no privacy for the community anymore, right? And so I got a whole idea of how I'm going to try to push that and try to get that agenda to try to fix that, because they're trying to rezone it from commercial right now, which we don't want either, because when you have commercial, you have a lot more traffic,
and there's not
a lot more
that
vagrancy,
road right there,
and there's already a death on that road on Osa Blanca, and they still trying to find the guy that hit and run and killed that one guy, and so still trying to find him, and people go up and down that road like it's a damn racetrack, and so I can only imagine the issues that are going to have. We have a residential or a commercial area there, right? I understand we got to build homes. Because we're not. There's nowhere else to grow except for further out or further up, But I mean, I think that some of these areas keep their appeal to a lot of people because of the way that they're built out right now, right? Let's talk about Green Valley. People want to go to Green Valley all the time, and they don't realize the housing difference is $60,000 to $100,000 difference between there and the Northwest, right? And in the Northwest, they get bigger homes at a nominal cost compared to going to Green Valley, because this is Green Valley, right?
Yeah.
The thing is those appeals are there. Once those appeals are gone, guess what people are going to stop doing? They're going to start going back to renting, because there's nowhere they really want to live in the community anymore. There's nowhere that appeals to them anymore, right? Then you start having people moving out. That's why California's had such a big deportation of their people leaving, because number one, the laws are just the way they are, taxes, and the way that they build their homes out there. People are just like, look, we're tired. We're not paying for the stuff that we get nothing for out here. We can go to Las Vegas and buy a home that's 3 times the size at half of what we're paying here in California and live like kings and queens, right? So there's that issue.
And we don't have the extra taxes that California has. That's like
we don't have a lot of things that California has.
There's a lot of things, but that is a real big one. People even from other states are moving here because the tax benefits here are better.
I got people that are moving a lot. The veterans a lot moving to Texas, becoming Texas residents, so they can use that VLA, that the veteran, the Texas veteran land acquisition stuff. It's just they work hand in hand with the VA, and it's really turning pages out there for people, and they're really loving it. So I'm like, man, okay, well, you're bringing me business. Let's keep doing it, you know?
Well, yeah, because that's one of the states you're able to lend in.
Yeah.
And speaking of that, like we talked about before, USDA land loans and things like that, but the VA changed some guidelines that allows for manufactured homes. You could buy it's pain in the neck. Okay, let me start off there, but I'm willing to help you. But you could buy you could buy with a VA loan a manufactured house on a piece of land, and it can be converted to real property during the transaction, which is a really big deal, because before you could only buy it if it was already real property. Yes, there's a lot of extra steps to getting it converted, but if it's a new manufactured home, it's not as bad as if it wasn't already pre-built or it's been sitting there a long time, because usually if it's brand new, it meets all the guidelines. The water, everything for the crawl space is already up to code for what it's supposed to be, what the VA is looking for. But there is several extra steps, and don't worry, I like to salsa, and so does Joe, and we'll salsa you right into a deal like that, because we just did it.
We just did it, yeah.
Whew.
And this one is done, I believe, in what, 13 days? It was 13 days.
13 days.
13 days.
Yes. Yeah. It went from a sprint to a jog to a sprint to a jog to like a full-blown mad dash to the finish line. But we did it, and we learned a couple valuable lessons along the way to really streamline that process, because to be honest, like you're saying, people are going from buying to renting because they don't know where they want to live, but they want bigger properties. Yeah. Well, even if you go out to Pahrump and Nye County has a lot of cheaper properties. Just don't buy a zombie lot. But you could go out there and they have several manufactured homes. We ran into some new manufactured builders actually to coordinate with, that we're going to be partnering with to do some more work. And so with that in mind, you can get a new house that house is gorgeous.
Yeah,
like,
with
to be
the
honest,
property that's
with the
attached to it,
property.
too. Yeah.
And it'd be like less than $400,000. Like,
it's funny you said that, because I got a call this morning from some clients that said, hey, we went out to Pahrump where you told us to go, and we looked, and we were looking at new builds, and then we said, but then they were like, but the new builds don't have what we were looking for.
Yeah.
They have all the perks they want to give out, but when somebody wants land, I don't care what kind of credit you're giving them. You're not going to sell them on being able to sit in their toilet and watch the person next door to them cooking in their kitchen. Yeah. Because they wanted land to begin with, right? And
usually they have toys. Like, let's be real. The people that say, I need land, I need RV, I need garage, I need no HOA, are the people that have like 5 motorcycles, 2 ATVs, 3 trucks. Yep. Like, they have everything under the sun, a couple trailers and a boat. So like, those are the same people that you're not going to be able to get into new construction communities kind of anywhere, any HOA communities, because it's so tight. Because even if you got a property that's big, you still have to you have to park your boat in the garage. You still have to use your garage, or you can't park on the street.
Hell, and that's stuff we're parking at the base. My trailer and the boat is at the base.
Kevin does that too. Kevin has one car on base in the lemon lot, and then he has one like in the ammo parking lot.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah, I have to park at the base, because if we go out and we come back and my trailer's in front of my house, they say 72 hours, right? But literally, I can kid you not, I'll park the trailer 1 minute, come back, and there'll be a tag on my thing.
Yep. What $100 fine.
Like, they were waiting for me. Hey, we're waiting for this trailer to come through.
I'm telling you, your neighborhood actually has the popo in it.
I'm telling you, it's crazy.
I have never seen an HOA set HOA police on it.
When I tell you that community's full of cops, FBI agents, I was not joking. That's who lives there.
They came out. They were ready.
In full force. And I'm like, what are you gonna do? You're the ones lighting off fireworks too. You guys are lighting them off. Yeah, it was a nightmare. But anyways, I digress.
But it's a fun memory, and I know everybody that was involved are going to be you're going to remember this. We're going to talk about this every 4th of July.
Yeah, and that's not even the big thing. We still have Halloween coming.
Hey,
Halloween's
we're pretty excited.
Be a blast. Halloween's going to be big over there, right? So, yeah, I'm excited.
Well, let's take a step back. from Halloween to 4th of July. They done skipped all of Halloween in the Costco. I went into Hobby Lobby and it's half of Christmas.
Really?
Yes. There's Christmas up in Costco. They had like 1 hour of what's it called? Some Halloween stuff. And I already saw them pulling out Christmas trees.
I guarantee you Walmart's probably full of Halloween right now.
Where's Thanksgiving?
Yeah, they don't worry about that.
Where's Turkey Day? Come on, gotta show some love for the Turkey Day.
When I cook, I will, but they're not going to show it. They're going to go right to Halloween, and that's going to last 2 days, and it's going to go right to Christmas.
Kevin said we might ask Kat to make a pecan pie. Pecan. You comment below however the hell you say it. The pie.
Pecan.
I like to say pecan, but
So
people correct me. But I like to say pecan too.
Pecan.
Anyway, Kevin wants one pre-Thanksgiving.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Yes. In fact, I might have her make him one for his birthday in October.
So I'd love to tell everybody what she uses, but then she'll kill me. I can tell you because you guys are, I'll die.
No, it 100% is a secret. She has like this whole scientific apparatus on her secrets in the kitchen.
Yeah.
But it's the best
Yeah, you've been there, so you
pie
know.
I've ever had in my life. Like, I would say I'd pay her 100% for all her pies. Like, I can't wait to have any other pie she had. But that specific pie, and I'm from North Carolina, and I lived in Louisiana. I've had a lot of pie. And that pie, I didn't need ice cream. It was just perfect. And I ate it cold.
Yeah, it's something about
and it was
that pie.
good.
It's funny because when she would make it for other people, she would make me my whole pie by myself, and it would just sit in the refrigerator. I'd eat the first one with a couple. I don't even cut. I take a spoon.
I can tell you ate the rest of the pie out of the dish.
I eat it right.
Here's a little sliver, Kevin, and then you had the rest of the pie over there, and you ate it
because the other pie was already gone. So I had to limit what I gave you, so I still had a piece, right? But I'll sit there, I'll eat it, and everybody's like raving over it, and I'm like, man. Okay, yeah, it's great, but I'm used to this. She makes me one every damn time we have a holiday. It's mine, right? It's my own pie because she knows I don't want to fight anybody for a piece of the pie. Yeah. I have my own pie. But then it's funny because it'll sit there in the refrigerator for about the next 4 or 5 months because it'd be so sweet for me. I'm like, man, I'm done with all the sugar. And then people will come over to try something. I'm like, okay, I got to eat it before they eat it all.
Oh my gosh. That's like, not my toy. That's mine.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, but no, yeah, it was just fun. So we got off the subject of homes, but that's fine because we need to talk about the real stuff right here and what's important in food.
Pie is important,
yeah,
okay?
It's important.
Dean Winchester would approve of Kat's pie, if you know who that is.
I know every Supernatural episode
I was like,
created.
you prove your worth.
I've watched it about 20
right
times.
now. But so moving on from pie, because that's important. I was going to say there's one thing I did want to discuss today because we're going to go back to the manufactured homes and the USDA land loans. Are they building more USDA land loans out? Like, I know they have it where, and we've touched on this like a little bit before, it has to have a foundation. But if it's already pre-approved and you get with the contractor, what are some of the steps to talking with the contractor to get a house built? Because is it the egg before the chicken or the chicken before the egg?
It's both. And I say that because it has to have, in order for it to be a land lot, right? Land loan, it has to be converted to real property. And real property has to have a safe, steady supply of water, sewage, and electricity run to the property, right? Or if they're self-sustaining on solar or something like that. So those are two of the biggest ones. And then the next biggest one is a foundation. Foundations will be moved because you can't have anything on wheels. If it's manufactured, it has to be able to not be moved. You can't. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, look at it logically, anybody can just up and leave, hook something up to their trucks or something, get an 18-wheeler and move their damn trailer, right? So USDA and VA are pretty similar, real similar when it comes to that. Has to be converted to real land at closing, real property at closing. It can be used for both the land and the home itself that it sits on. So if we talk about construction loans, we can do one-time draws or multiple draws. And the VA just now reopened the VA has always had it, but investors walked away from it for a long time. I want to say till last year, I didn't see many construction loans for VA at all. Like investors just pulled it off the market, and I don't know really why.
Is the construction loan the same as the FHA 203?
FHA 203 is a rehab loan.
Oh, okay, but the construction loan is the one that's from the ground up, right?
Yeah, from the ground up, yeah. So the 203 hotel, the 203H, is a rehab loan. Okay. Basically for you to beautify, not beautify, but to make more, to create more amenities in the home, raise its value, and to basically redo your home to the way you really want it to be, right? That's what the 203 hotel, the 203H is for, right? FHA. The construction loans for VA and USDA are similar in the fact that, like I said, They're one-time draws or multiple draws. Is for the land, for the property. The one thing about multiple draws, it has to be with a general contractor that has to sign off of every phase. And so the multiple draws, I'm sure you know how they work. Each time you have to redo your draw for, okay, this phase is done. Now we got to redo credit for this phase here. A lot of people don't like that.
I'm mildly familiar. Like I know the steps, but I haven't actually like done that in a deal yet, which I want to do it in a deal.
It sucks.
It does.
Because it's consistently draws. And then in order for you to occupy the home, when you get the certificate of occupancy, you've got to convert that to a 30-year fix, which means they have to apply for a 30-year fixed loan after construction loan's done, right? One-time draw is different. One-time draw is, okay, this is what the GC is saying it's going to cost from ground up, boom, 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 boom. When the certificate of occupancy comes out, you no longer have to apply for a 30-year fix, convert that loan. It's a 30-year fix to begin with. Okay. So to me, that's makes more sense. And to a lot of people, that's easier for them. Nobody wants the hassle of going through phases. What if you have a time issue?
And there is a time, because I believe, depending on what county you live in, they give you a certain timeline to build and have everything done. And then if you don't have it done, you have to go through a waiver process. And I do know that because I was assisting somebody with that before. But you said a lot of technical terms, so I'll be like the translator, like in Key and Peele. If you have any questions about this process, comment or DM me or him, and we could really sit down and do a consultation, because we do resale homes, we do new build homes, we do all kinds of things, right? But when it comes to building a dream, that does take the longest, and that takes a lot of preparation and planning before you execute that. Like you said, there's phases, the chicken before the egg before the chicken. What is your process going to be? And there's also different loans to like programs or things to piggyback with that type of deal, because you have to add so many more hands to the cookie jar when it comes to that, because you have to get certified contractors, you have to get plans drawn out, you have to get what is it called, what do you call the city? My brain is coming.
Permits.
Permits. The NV Energy or Overton Energy has to come out and plot where they're going to put the power lines. There's so many things, right? And so having people who know what they're doing is important. Creating a timeline and a game plan from start to finish, because you don't want to start spending money to get this done. That's what happens to a lot of people. They buy land, they have a dream, and they don't execute properly. And then next thing you know, they're getting stopped up and they're waiting 2 or 3 years and their land just has holes in it or a well dug.
Man, I'm going to tell you what, if I knew how much it was going to cost to drill a well in Pahrump where we're at, we would have never touched
almost
it.
$20K.
It's $1,000 a foot right now. And the last water table they did was in 2023, and it was down 300 feet.
Well, you could do the math, because I'm not that
$1,000 a foot. There is no way on God's green earth I would do that. And that's not including the power from the road to the property itself too, right? Because I forgot what that was like. Kat had estimated that. So.
I feel like it's also per foot, I believe, to where your house is going to be. But they also do like an estimate of like $15,000 and this was last year when I was helping somebody else. They said about $15K. And then that's just to drop the lines, not even to do the connection or anything else. That's just to put the lines in the ground. Yeah. So these are important factors when you're going to build, because these are things people tend to forget about that add up. You could spend an extra $100K just getting utilities set up for your house, but you cannot build if you don't have utilities in place. And that's a big one, a part of some of the land loans, USDA or VA, that they're looking at, because people, I think they're more strict, because people used to just buy land and start and then wouldn't do anything with it. So now you're funding a loan with nothing.
Well, there's no value in it at that point. And so the investor loses out, you know, because land values are always going to change. They're going to change exponentially up or down, where homes aren't like that. When you have physical property on there, it's a little bit more that's attached to it. There's a little bit more of an asset-based recovery if need be.
And if you have to resell, it's really hard to sell land. And that's why a lot of land is cash. Most people cannot get a loan. You can go on TikTok like, oh, get a USDA land loan, Yes, but they don't understand, like, you have to put more down. The interest rate's going to be higher because the risk is so much higher. And then additionally, if you do that, there's specific stipulations. We've already walked through a couple clients where they came in thinking, oh, we could just get land loan. And then we had to be the bearer of bad news and explain and educate. Well, these are all the steps that you have to go through. And I feel so bad when I tell people this, because I feel like I'm letting them down on their dream. But then it's like, okay, let's really sit down, do a consultation, because if this is something that you want, let's do it the right way the first time, so you know what you have to save or the steps that you have to go through. But unfortunately, I find that when I do go through the steps, what people have to do, they back out and they end up not wanting to do it at all.
they weren't told about it in the first place. And TikTok's a nightmare. TikTok, I see so many people on TikTok, they talk about, and what they do is I'm not saying they're lying.
Yeah.
What they're doing is being very general. They're not being specific. They're being very general, just enough to get you into the door.
Yes.
To start asking them questions with the hopes that they can sell you on something different.
That's true. And
that's the problem that a lot, and especially in this industry, right? Oh, I'll give you a 3.99% interest rate. Yes, I can too. But let's be very real about how that's going to happen, right?
People don't understand point buy down.
There you go. They don't understand it. So if I tell you, hey, I'm going to give you a 2.99 or 3.99, I know how I'm going to do it, but I'm not going to tell you because you're never going to call me. All you're going to hear is that 3.99. If I tell you that 3.99 is going to cost you in excess of $10,000, maybe $12,000 up front for a flat rate, you're going to be like, hey, I'm not calling that guy.
Yeah.
I'm going to go to the next guy that told me I can do it too, but didn't tell me how to do it.
Yes.
That's where it's playing the misconception game. I'm going to misrepresent things, but I'm not lying to you. I'm being very general about how there you go. I'm being very general on how I do it. So that's another big thing. That's
one of the things I just saw on TikTok is somebody was posting that there's no longer a bill was passed. I think we were talking about this earlier this morning. A bill was passed because there's a foreclosure protection program is being removed, but that's not true. It's sort of true, but not true. And we can actually jump into that real quick because people are like, oh, we're going to get this removed from us. I have FHA loan. I'm like, well, let's take a pause on this. Like, LOL, my favorite saying, let's take a step back and evaluate. What does that mean? Who does it apply to? And is it really removing a protection? So I'll let you take this.
And no, and the thing is these people, they're trying to use it as a political thing and trying to say, hey, the current political environment's doing this, and look what they're doing to our home and our housing. And it's not. It's stopping the post-COVID protections that they had, right? Yeah. If you remember, as a landlord, you couldn't evict anybody. You couldn't do any of that stuff. As an institution that lended for homes, your hands were tied. People would say, hey, I'm not paying, because here's this guideline right here says you can't do anything to me. Yeah. So what they did effectively, they stopped that portion of it, okay? So it affects people in that aspect. It doesn't affect, HUD still has regular, the Housing Urban Development still has their protections. FHA still has their protections. It's specifically for the post-COVID issues. That's what it's for, because they were
extended.
They were extended, and they were just out of whack. They were so ridiculous where people could just tell you, hey, I went into this contract with you knowing what I was getting into, but now I'm gonna tell you, hey, screw it, I'm not paying you.
For over a year. I believe
ridiculous.
It was for like up to a year after post-COVID. And you know what? During that time, it did make sense. We didn't know how long we were going to be in a pandemic. We didn't know how long people couldn't go to work. And when the protection was put in place, it made sense to me, even for landlords, because as a landlord, I enacted the protection on my tenant as well, because I wasn't going to kick her out for something that none of us can control. Yeah. That's not fair. We have to figure it out. That's why if you're a good landlord, you have reserves for these kinds of things, right? But even people that are living paycheck to paycheck, it's not fair to them that all this is happening in the world. But then you have the people who take advantage after the fact. Yeah. We are, 4 years post-pandemic. Why are people still able to call, hey, I can't pay. I don't have to pay you for a whole year.
Yeah.
That's a lot. And then that affects the mortgage industry.
It does.
Negatively, because then you don't have cash flow, all of our cloud money.
What people don't seem to understand is when you screw your investors that way, the investors are going to get their money. Guess how they do it? They do it from every other consumer out there.
100%.
So if you're telling me, hey, you're not going to pay based on this guideline that was here that we know is a ridiculous guideline based on how long it's been there, then guess what? I'm just going to go to a person like you that's got an 800 FICO score that makes all their bills on time, and I'm going to figure out some way to raise your.
Yes.
Or you want to buy a new home. Guess what? God, it would have been a 5% interest rate, but since this person here is not doing what they're supposed to do, now I'm going to charge you a 6.5%.
Yes.
It's not.
They're going to make their money some way.
Yeah, they're going to get it
somewhere.
back, and so it doesn't. If you have the ability to get off, get off. That's what. That's the whole idea of it. It's a help. It's a hand up, not a hand out, right? And I think that's what the guideline is stopping. And that's another misconception. People are going on TikTok talking about this.
Yeah.
And it's not. Be very specific so people are educated at the point where they know exactly what you're talking about. If you do that, then you give that person the ability to make a decision based on facts, not on what you want them to make it on.
Yes.
So.
I agree. And I think it's not even just FHA protections, right? There's other loan protections.
Yes.
Like you shouldn't have to do this, but like say you lose your job, you can call the bank and say, can I enact forbearance, right?
Yes.
And then they'll give you a time where you don't have to make mortgage payments. However, you do have to pay it back. There is some penalties, but it's way better than going into foreclosure.
Losing your house.
It's better than going into a short sale. There's other things, or you can refinance. That'll buy you some time. There's several different options. And I think people get nervous, and we've talked about this before, where when they're in these situations that are really tight, they don't want to ask for help. Yeah. But we're here to help you. If you find yourself in a situation where you think this is going to happen, it's better to be proactive and ask for help. Yeah. And we're not the only people talking about this. There's other people on YouTube. I'll be honest. You don't have to just come to me and Joe. Our job is to educate you. But at the same time, ChatGPT will tell you 7 ways to help you from losing your house. That's a fact. You can do it right now, right? You can call us. You can call a good lender, any lender, go to the bank. People are willing to work with you before they want to take the loss. Because at the end of the day, the investor does not want your house to foreclose. They do not want to do it. Too. It's a big L. It's a worse L to them than it truly is to you. Yes, it affects your credit. It affects you going bankrupt or filing bankruptcy for 7 years, but they've just lost $500,000.
Yeah.
Right.
And the thing
that's like a big deal.
If you're in an interest rate at a 6% with this lender, that lender has to short sell that home.
Yes.
They're not going to get a 6%. They're going to short sell it, right? Or they're going to sell it at auction
100%.
or a foreclosure sale. They're losing money.
All
that interest that they may have gotten for the 5, 6, 7, 8 years that you were paying now is gone. So remember the investor's not making money off the value. They're making money off the interest of the value, right? That interest is gone. They lose their money.
100%.
They lose
and that's what that's a misconception too. People are like, the bank's out to get us. The bank's out to get us. Some people view it that way, but truly the bank took a chance on you, or an investor or lender took a chance on you for you to get a house and for you to pay it back. And that's the difference between any other loan. Like you can get a car loan, you can get a credit loan, but house loans are a lot different because there's more at risk. And that's why loans are structured a certain way, right? Yeah. They're more strict. So we don't have a housing crisis of 2008. We don't want a repeat of that. And when it comes down to it, they have a lot more to lose. So they're willing to work with you more on the positive side to keep you in it than for them to kick you out. If you're down to where you're about to be foreclosed on, then you haven't taken all the steps, or you are well past all the steps.
I'm going to tell you, if you're at that point where you're struggling the first 30 days, before you get to the second, you need to reach out to somebody. Because the more opportunity, the longer you go, the less opportunities you have, right? That pool of programs to fix it gets smaller and smaller and smaller, right? So I always tell my clients, hey, if within the first 6 months and you start seeing something happen and you got a pay change or something happen drastically, I need to know. Let's start looking inside right now before you start missing a payment, or you start doing now, instead of 30 days late, you're 28 days and you're paying on that 30th day so that you don't get that 30-day late showing. Let's talk. Let's figure out a way to get it. Maybe what you were saying before, but maybe you put one at the end of the loan. So you skip a payment, goes to the end of the loan, gives you 30-day reprieve to figure out some things out, right? Yeah. But you have to do that sooner than later.
100%.
Right? And a lot of that is like what you said.
Or partial payments.
Or partial payments. Yeah, a lot of that is what you said. People just don't want to. It's a sour, jagged little pill to swallow to say that financially I messed up, right? I tend to believe that if you put something into something, you take more pride in that and you take care of it, right? So I know that if I want my credit to stay good and I want my home to I want to keep my home, I'm going to make the payments because I had to put money into it to get it, right? I'm not going to just lose it. I believe that that's most people people complain about, I got to put so much down. Well, to me, that's not a complaint. To me, that's an investment, because that's
I'd rather
your investment.
put money down than pay to do a point buy down.
Yeah, but here at the end of the day, you're not going to want to lose what you put money in on.
Yeah.
If I gave you a home for free, you're going to cherish it. You're going to love it,
Mm-hmm.
but you'll walk away from that way easier than you would if you had to put $10,000 down or 10%
Yeah.
down. At the end of the day, let's just call it what it is. And I think that's the biggest thing people have an issue with. They don't want to put the money down, but then they want to have the pride and ownership in something. You can only get pride and ownership in something by investing into something.
Yeah.
You don't better your life by not
Mm-hmm.
putting into your life. Nobody just says, hey, I'm going to give you this home free and clear. Show me what you can do with it in the next 10 years. Because you're not invested in it. Yeah, you're living in it, and it's putting a roof over your head and keeping you secure, but you're not vested in your home. You're vested in your home when you've put something into your home and you're gaining something back out of the home. That's how you're vested into your home, right? So I think a lot of that has to do with
it's a mindset.
It is. And so when people get behind, they get embarrassed.
Mm-hmm.
I know I was. I mean, I got embarrassed. You get embarrassed and you're like, okay, well, I'll fix it. I'll fix it. But the thing is, that problem doesn't go away. Mm-hmm. And you got to deal with one before you deal with the other. You can't deal with them both at the same time, mm-hmm. right? And it's better to deal with the one that's keeping you from being able to pay your home, but that has to be alleviated first. Hey, I need a 30-day reprieve. Call the finance company, call the mortgage company. Hey, this is what's going on. They are, like you said, they are super willing to work with you. They don't want to lose you either, right?
Yes.
Because the next person might not be as loyal, might not be as dependable as you were.
Yeah.
Okay. And so, I guess I would implore anybody to reach out to speak to somebody about it sooner than later,
I 100% recommend that. And specifically to veterans, because there's a big difference between a civilian, the civilian consequences and veteran consequences. Mm-hmm. And I've dealt with both sides of the coin, right? So civilians, you could file bankruptcy. It affects you for 7 years. But on the positive side, if a veteran files bankruptcy, right, they could still buy a house. Yeah. Who knew? But a civilian, you can't. But then on the other side, if a veteran does a short sale, it affects their eligibility and then they cannot use their VA loan, versus if a civilian does a short sale, it doesn't affect them that bad. And then they can turn around and save up and buy a home and go through the process again. Yeah. So really there's when it comes to balancing and information, it's first let's figure out what boat do you fall in? What category are you? How can we help you? Because also if you're a veteran and you go in foreclosure, well, if anybody goes in foreclosure, that dampens your eligibility to buy on the civilian and veteran side, no matter what, because now you're a really big risk.
And security clearances.
That affects you all the way around. It affects you renting too. If they pull your credit and they see that you have these, they're not going to want to rent to you, or they are going to make you pay a higher security deposit. But the biggest one is your credit score. Yeah. Unfortunately, your credit score dictates the power you have.
I mean, that is your buying power.
America.
Yeah, that's your buying power.
That is 100% fact. And as somebody who has fallen victim to this nonsense of the credit, I'm still salty about it. It is still a work in progress. I'm actively fighting it. That is a big thing, right? And CYA, which I think is funny, at the closing table, they make you sign a document that if you don't pay your bills, guess what?
Your credit will be affected.
Wow. Who knew?
It's an actual form that you sign
today is they make you sign that because I guess somebody signed it. It's like, oh, CYA to CYA to CYA. If you don't know what CYA is, guys, Google it. If you don't pay your bills, your credit is trash. Oh, if you don't pay your bills, they could take the house from you. If you don't pay your bills, they could also take other assets from you.
Oh, yeah.
Boom. There's a couple CYAs, which I thought was insane that they even had to sign that.
We all laughed.
I laughed
the minute
audibly.
We all laughed. So
I LOL'd so hard. But no, it's funny. And then there was another document that signing that they were able to use your phone number and run your credit to even purchase the house. That's crazy too. Actually reading through the documents at the closing table, when it's your time, you're going to laugh because there's a lot of documents you sign. There's so many disclosures saying what we did, how we did it, when we did it, why we did it. And we have to do that to protect ourselves because most people think, oh, I'm just going to go buy a house today or pull out the mattress money. And you can't do that.
No.
You can't do that at all.
No, not unless it's an investment. But you can't do it for primary homes.
Not at all.
And I don't know how many clients we've dealt with that, hey, I've got $50,000. Well, where's it at? I don't see it in your bank account. Yeah. Oh, I'm going to put it in there now. No, not when it comes to primary homes.
My favorite meme on TikTok is when the lender asks, show me where your assets are. And it's just somebody putting the money on their counter, sending pictures of their car or their sneaker collection.
I'd sit there when I see that, it's like, I pray it's an investment property. Please tell me it's an investment. It's a non-qualified mortgage loan. Please tell me that, right? You have to source and season money for that. And that went away about 2 years ago because you used to have to do the same thing for an investment property as you did for primary homes. But primary homes, and that's what the market generally is right now because the rates are kind of inverted.
Yeah.
And so it's primary home buyers are coming back out in the market right now, right? That's a no-no. Big no-no. No-no. Don't keep your money in your mattress and then try to use it to buy a home. It doesn't work. Unless you're paying cash and you have everything you need for cash, right? Other than that, it's not going to work. But that's the biggest misconception. People think, okay, well, I have money. Well, yeah, you might have money, but where's it at, right? There's that snazzy little thing called the Patriot Act. We got to know where the money's coming from. If you just deposit it, there's two stipulations. Either we have to source where it came from, which means I can't source mattress money. I can't source money that you were holding in your safe because you were making tips. And now you got $60,000 that you want to use towards purchasing a home. I can't use that money just because you put it in the bank tomorrow. I can only use it after season for 60 days. It has to be there for 60 days.
Sometimes 30 though, right? Or 60. Is it hard 60?
It's 60 days. It has to be there for 60
days. And you know what? If this is a position that you're in, because we help, we love the ladies, we love strippers, okay? We help strippers, we help people that
I'm not
do
admitting
tips.
to that.
Well, okay, let's be real. The people that work in Las Vegas are a unique group of people. We have hospitality workers. Yes. We have maids. We have bartenders. We have strippers. Tip compliance. Yeah. We have drivers, Uber drivers. A lot of people work really, really hard and do get paid in cash. They do estheticians, people that work as flea marketers or resellers. The one great thing about living in our city is entrepreneurship. You can make money doing anything if you want to, right? But a lot of times those things come through cash. If you're in a position where you have mattress money, don't fret, because we work with people to help them season their money. How do they put it on their taxes appropriately, right? That's a big one because people don't know. You don't know what you don't know. Yeah. We're part of educating people. And so I've had to sit down and do a consultation with someone. I'm like, okay, this is the situation you're in. This is our game plan for what you can do. And then in 4 months, then you'll be able to buy. And it's all about making sure they do their taxes right too.
Yeah, it's going to be the taxes.
It's going to be taxes and bank statements.
You sent me clients where as long as they're making their deposits into their bank accounts, we can use bank statements. 100%. I can use 12 months, 24 months. I even have some investors that'll do 3 months, right?
Yeah.
It just has to be consistent and it has to be on a regular basis. It can't be $20,000 this month and then 8 months go by and now it's another $15,000.
Or it's their business, because we've had to do this before.
And a CPA
where
letter.
I made Joe work extra hard.
Yeah.
But we took the whole year's worth of bank statements. We consolidated it. You did the median price and you bounce it off the tax returns to see what's average. Because let's be real, if you're working as your own business, you're not going to be consistent. You make consistent deposits, but you could make 20K and then 8K and then go 2 months. Because as a real estate agent, that's
how we get paid.
That's how we get paid. So I wish I could say I'm making bank every single month, but sometimes I went 6 months without being paid. And that's a part of it. So there are ways to work around that, but it's about having a good team to help you navigate that situation and how to really use your money wisely. And that you can do a consultation with me, even if you're not buying a house, because I do that half the time.
Yeah.
Young renters, 18, 20 years old. How are you using your money to save it? Where are you putting it? Why are you putting it right? And then making sure you're doing your tax returns. So that way, when you turn 22, you could buy a house. And I've helped somebody do that, right? Sitting down, cost of living, because it's all about education. And that's a big one. And I think that's what we provide. At the end of the day, all day long, we want people to be successful. We want people to be educated. And we don't want people to fall in the same pitfalls that we fell in. Yeah. I'm eating ramen noodles. You almost lost a house. I've lost a car.
But I like ramen noodles. I really like ramen noodles.
But it's adulting, man. Like, adulting is hard.
It's a fact.
When no one's telling you what to do, and we don't teach this shit in school, let's be real. When it comes to real life, fresh out of high school, we waste our money. And helping people buy younger so that the way their house is paid off by the time they're 45, man, what a feat.
Yeah, when you get back to those days of teaching kids the value of generational wealth, everything changes.
It does.
The economy changes. Everything changes, right? The outlook for an 18, 19, 20-year-old kid changes drastically.
Yes.
Now they're not worried about one of the aspects that we all were worried about growing up. You graduated high school, you went to college, bought a house, got married, right?
Yeah.
You have a house. Now you worry, what's your career field going to be? What's that dream that you really want to
Or
chase?
you're paying off
right?
student loans.
Or paying off student loans, right?
Yeah, that's a big one.
Speaking of that too, there's programs now that are helping with those loan products
100%.
for homes. One of the things I did want to touch real quick briefly was when we were talking about alternative income, the gig economy, what people are doing off of YouTube and TikTok and stuff like that, right? That income can be used.
Yes.
And it's crazy because it never was before, right? And so like I have guys that own smoke shops that want to buy homes.
Yep.
Well, most of their money's cash and it's different the way that they play with their money. It's not funny money, but it's just the way they do it.
It is.
A lot of these guys still have business licenses and CPAs that do their taxes. That's all we need.
Yep.
You can still qualify
tattoo
for
shops.
Yeah. Tattoo shops are another big one too.
A really big one here that do that as well. We can name a plethora of entrepreneurs that make money here in this city. So that could be our next topic of discussion next week. Let's write that down about how, if you're an entrepreneur, how can you capitalize on what you do to save money, but also make money to buy a house. And then we could talk about what else. We have a couple of tips for them at the end of the day. But I want to talk about a couple of loan programs that are available to you, because most people truly believe that they cannot buy. And I think that's craziness, right?
To me, it's funny how lenders don't let them know.
Yes.
We're prima donnas to a certain extent. Why? And I say that because if a loan is a hard loan, most lenders tend to not want to deal with it, right? Because
you have no choice.
I don't have a choice. But because, when you look at the financial breakdown between the lender and real estate agent, the real estate agent's number one, lender's number two, right? So most lenders like, I'm going to have to put a lot more effort into this one. I don't even know if it's worth it when I got this refi right here that I'm going to make 2 basis points off of, right? 200 bips off of. Why would I worry about this one? I'm going to make 1.5. But that's where finding a good lender is going to matter, right?
100%.
I think we've done a lot of deals, and we've lost deals, and where I've lost a deal. But at the end of the day, we educated the people that needed to be done. They got their home. It just wasn't with me, and that's okay. That to me is not a concern. It's more of a concern of, did they buy it the right way with the right person?
Yes.
At the end of the day, right?
And did it make sense?
So, yeah.
Right? The biggest thing is, no matter what you do, if you take anything from our video, which we're about to end it shortly here, so you can finish listening to us talk. But no, the biggest thing is, we want you to buy a home or do anything financially that's going to serve you the right way. Yeah. So we want you to shop. We want you to be educated. We want you to ask questions. And I have so many beautiful guides on renting, relocating. If you want anything where you don't want to talk to me, but you're like, hey, I would like some free information, text me, email me. It's on the YouTube channel. I will send it to you, because at the end of the day, when you come here, we don't want this trend of people coming here and then they're hurting. And then they end up in a rough, tough place where they're in the position where we talked about in the beginning of the show, we're at the food banks. But we want you to come here. We want you to be successful. And then we want you to be primary homeowners, and we want you to live and create generational wealth, because that's what the American dream is to me.
Yes.
4th of July, set that in stone. I want everybody to have the opportunity to accidentally set their house on fire. I want everybody to have the opportunity to fight the HOA, fight the power. Okay. But that's a fact. We want you, that's a part of growing. That's a part of living, man.
Yes, it is.
For real.
Yes,
so like, we're going to roll this to the end. We're so happy that you joined us today. We can't wait to see you guys next week, and we'll have more things to talk about. And again, if you have anything you want us to talk about, you have questions, pop it into the comments, DMs, RMs, I don't know, whatever's out there, reach us. Okay, boo? Have a good day, y'all.
Peace.